Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live from the Lab. This is the show where we talk about different technology that Bruker has worked on in order to help scientists discover the world around us. Today's topic is X-ray fluorescence, or XRF for short. Now, this is a technique used to understand the elemental makeup of things. That is, if we looked at that periodic table and you have carbon, you have calcium, you have all these elements, well, what actually goes into a material? XRF oftentimes is going to have the right answer for you. Now, specifically, we have something really exciting, and that's our brand new platform, the S8 Tiger Series 3. So this thing, it is built on all of our experience that we previously have, but we've added a lot of really cool, innovative features. Now, to uncover those features, look a little bit deeper, we're going to talk to somebody here in the studio, one of our experts. We're going to head over to the lab, we're going to see it in person, and then we're going to answer any questions that you happen to have. So with that, let's head on over and talk to our expert. Good morning, Julia.
Good morning, John.
And welcome, everybody, for joining us. So Julia is actually one of our experts on X-ray fluorescence here.
Yes, I am.
And it's kind of a mouthful to say. So XRF and the Tiger. Now, I know the Tiger, it's kind of like one of your favorite things.
That's right. The S8 Tiger is actually my favorite instrument.
Is it?
Yes.
Wow.
And so it is sometimes for our XRD colleagues, because I remember they sometimes bring us samples if they're not sure about, is it this phase or that phase, because they don't know necessarily the elemental composition.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that is definitely an important topic, right? Is that there is never, anybody in science, right? Anybody who has instruments, if they tell you that they've got the one instrument that's going to tell you everything, no, that's not the truth, right? So here we have the elemental XRD that gives you that structure. Yep. Together we get the truth.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So that complementarity is important. I want to say I'm not the only expert here at Bruker. I have several colleagues who have been here for a really long time, and we always take your calls, pre-post sales. Even if you don't have a Bruker system, you're very welcome to contact us and ask questions. But yeah, now the S8 Tiger Series 3, I'm very excited. We just got it into the lab in October. You might have seen the soft launch a little bit earlier this year in May, June. Actually, I've worked on it in May. We had a global applications meeting. That was really cool. So all of my global colleagues who do the same as I do, we met in Karlsruhe, and we spent a whole week working on the 5 systems that were there. It was really exciting to see everybody and to learn what their typical applications are and what their issues are that they have and what they like.
I think that's one of the really cool things about working here at Bruker is that we have this global footprint. We have colleagues all over the world. Yeah. I mean, we have so let's see here, XRF systems or app labs. We have them here. I mean, Madison. Yeah.
Singapore.
Course, Germany, Singapore.
There's one in Beijing. Then we have one in the UK, in South Africa. There's one in India. So they're kind of everywhere.
They are everywhere, and if we accidentally forgot one of you, I am sorry. We love you. But it is everywhere, and so we kind of have a cool connection then to everything going on around the globe where these things can be used.
And we also have a very short, how do you say that? We connect via Teams all the time, so it's not like I met all new faces. There were a few new faces, but I had already talked to them before. But let's
get
talk
back
about
to the
that.
Tiger.
Yes.
So now the Tiger, it's a little bit different than the other systems that we've seen. Generally, we're looking at these bench tops these days. But this is a full standing system. Yeah. Why would somebody want a full standing system versus one of those bench tops?
Because they're different applications, and you need a different system for all of them, right? If you just want to measure, let's say, one element in one matrix, or you have maybe not very low trace levels, or you don't have a lot of elements that you want to measure, or you don't want to put a lot of power on your samples, then EDXRF might be better, or a benchtop system. But for fast, high-resolution measurements, or even something like reverse engineering that I kind of mentioned before, when you want to know elemental composition, a big floor standing system might be the better choice. And the cool thing is, the S8 Tiger Series 3 is now the newest system on the market, as you said, but it is the successor of the other newest system on the market. So,
really?
Yes, the S8 Tiger Series 2 was already the most modern WDXRF system that you could buy.
So, why would we make a new one?
Because I think, and maybe that's what the developers thought. Like I think, like an 8 to 10 year cadence is probably a good thing, a good cadence to like think about what we learn, what could be done better, how much did technology involve, right? When the SA Tiger Series 2 was launched, there was no AI. Like nobody could even think about it. Or maybe some people, but it was
oh my
like
God, even like these days,
Yeah.
I find myself going like, I think I know what AI is, and then I have no clue what it is.
So, but that was something that was incorporated. Also, because of computer power and how things are connected, and we already did that on our benchtop systems, we use a new platform, one that's also used on the XRD side. So we kind of, before with the SA Tiger Series 1, 2, and also our older EDXRF systems, they all used the Spectra Plus or Spectra EDX software, which was which was file-based. And now we slowly move to this database-based software, where you have one big database that that you access through a software. And now that was the last step to bring the biggest, our flagship system, onto the software platform as well. And of course, it has a lot of benefits, right? Our developers also together with applications, products management, and service, we thought about, well, we know what works well, and we kept that. But we also know where there are things that might need some improvement, or that would just make things more easy to work with.
Right. And it's, especially with a system like this, which is going to be going in industrial sites, we have to make sure that that technology is kind of responsibly innovated.
Yes.
That, you know, when we throw it out there, we've tested it, we really know this is going to work, this day in, day out, every sample is going to give you very reliable results. Yeah. You know, one thing that you had mentioned there is that the software, and we're going to see that a little bit later, it has actually that look of kind of the XRD software. So like me, I'm a little bit more familiar with that. If I have a D6 phaser, I have a D8 Endeavor, then we add on now one of these Tigers, I'm going to be kind of very familiar. I know what to do, where to click. Yeah. That's cool.
Similarly, if you have maybe a larger SA Tiger Series 2 already, maybe a 1 kilowatt in your lab, and eventually you want to think about upgrading, and you have an S2 Puma, maybe in a production environment or as a backup, you will have like no learning curve, basically. It goes right from one to the other.
So that technology can go right to work.
Yes.
Rather than having to worry about, oh, it's going to take us 6 months to get this thing online and actually start, you know, getting return on investment. This is immediate.
So, exactly. And one thing, for example, that makes it easier, so we already have that with the SA Tiger Series 2. We do a lot of remote support, right? Because that for us is instant, and a lot of things can be diagnosed, probably like over 90%, just over the phone, and you can send us status files. With the new software, you can actually send us a little glimpse of what you're working on, your application. We can look at it in real time. We can do this now as well, but it's a little more complicated. This way, it's much easier, right? You send out the file, and we know exactly at what state it was. You also, with the new software, you have a fully accessible log. You had that before too, but you have to know where it is. Here, it's right there in the software itself.
All right, that's great. So you know what? I think we've talked about it quite a bit. Let's go and actually see it in person in the lab.
Yeah, let's look at it, and then we can talk about it a little bit more.
All right, let's head on over.
Right.
All right, so we're here in the XRF lab, and with the Tiger here, it's actually all over the place. We have bench tops. We actually have a Series 2 Tiger over there, but right here is star of the show, the brand new Series 3. Actually looks a little bit familiar in terms of form factor, right?
It does.
Size?
It does, yes. Size-wise, it's very similar, but I think it's a lot more open, a lot more inviting.
Oh, it definitely
because
is.
we have like this whole hood that you can see in from all sides. You can see if something might stop or if something is blocking it, and it's kind of nice to see also if it's working correctly, right?
So with great visibility, I guess, comes the question of safety, though, because like these things produce X-rays, and you know all this glass. Is this like X-ray glass or something, or?
No, we wouldn't need that. Like unlike a phaser, not a phaser. Yeah, yes, a phaser, like an XRD system, right? We don't have an open beam or anything. The
Okay.
beam, everything happens in there inside of the sample chamber.
All right, so it's all below that little door there. So up
Exactly.
here, it's just about mechanical safety then.
Yes, and we can see, so nothing would move if I would open it. And
Yep.
I don't know if you can see that, but they would automatically go
Oh, there you go.
like
Yeah.
a little warning,
Mhm.
the thing is open. You can see if x-rays are on or not. There's like a really clear indicator. There's also an indicator here. So we have, like the D6 has that now too, or has it first, like a little a panel that gives you an information right away. Is it on? What power is it on? And so on and so forth. How can I shut it down?
Okay.
And then you can also see if for some reason this would turn off, or if the sample chamber opens, the x-rays in the back, like the LED would turn off.
Okay, and I do see that's really a hallmark feature kind of is now we have this touch screen integrated.
Yes.
Now that comes on every unit?
That comes on every unit. This one, not.
Okay.
So you can use this if you want to, but you can also use the system if you just have an external PC.
All right.
So we keep the island mode. This touchscreen is actually more powerful than the touchscreen on the SA Tiger Series 2.
Mhm.
But it does, just like on our S2 Pumas, it does run in so-called island mode. So if you just wanted to run it, just want to have your operators go there, push a button, put the sample in, go, you can do that. But if you have an R&D lab or a lot more skilled people, maybe they want to see it on the full screen. And that's also a possibility. Right?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of nice for that more industrial environment.
Exactly.
Like you said, operators, come touch that. But this part's optional. So that's pretty cool. I mean, in terms of the overall architecture, though, like we said, it's kind of just, you know, nice, a little bit nicer looking, a little update.
Yes, yeah, I think so too.
To
and when you mentioned safety, right, we have the safety interlocks. So before, remember, all of the safety interlocks were actually on the panels. Now they're where the x-rays are, on the goniometer, on the tube. So if you're worried, you couldn't even, if you wanted to, run it if any of the safety circuits are broken or are open.
Right.
And then in terms of other safety, right, sample safety, sample spills. So we have a whole new cup so you can see them from the side. But I'm going to open it and show you the cups in more detail.
All right, so let's open it up.
All right. So you can see this inside looks a little different than it did before.
That's a lot of samples, Julia.
Yeah, that's a lot of samples.
How many does that hold?
84.
84?
84. So it's more than the Series 2.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is we only have 2 configurations now. It's 84 or 84. The difference is 84 with magnetic cups.
Okay.
And you can also, so we have customers who run always the same type of material, right? Either fuse beads or pressed pellets, and they have like a suction cup loader. So those are the 2 options. Either 84 and you don't need that, or you have that with the suction cup. So in my case, I have both. But this makes it easier to decide, right? You don't have to sit down with sales and applications to figure out what is the right thing for you.
Yeah.
It's either magnetic or magnetic and suction cup.
Okay, and it looks like these are new trays.
Yes, these are new trays. They come out this way.
Okay.
For seasoned users, the only thing is we don't load top to bottom. We load left to right now.
All right.
But we do have new cups, and you can see that they have like rings here. I don't know how well you can see that.
Yeah.
So this one is our typical 34 millimeter diameter cup.
Okay.
But so is this one, right?
Yep.
But they have different numbers of rings. So this one's actually made to hold a pressed pellet, 40 millimeter.
Yeah.
And this one could be holding something larger.
Okay.
Sometimes, right, we have these traditional metal samples that are 50 millimeters diameter, or filters that are 47 diameters. The software reads the number of the rings. So there's a little camera on the side. We took the hood off here. Yeah. And it reads the ring. It's an AI and also IR camera. So it reads it with infrared or red light so that if it's not illuminated in your lab, it's not a problem. So it will know what type of sample cup it will pick up. Okay. Which is kind of nice because that way you will not accidentally run the wrong method. Yeah. And again, it's small enough so that if you put a liquid cup in there, the software will also know if you're trying to run a liquid cup in vacuum, right? Because if you do that, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, yes. That's a pretty bad idea. And with all of these now sample positions and the diversity, like you said, that you can run with this instrument, it's definitely a concern. It's making sure you run the right method, right sample.
Correct. There are 2 cool things. So one is it's very easy to customize this. So if you have several operators, you could tell them, every one of you just gets 1 tray.
Yeah.
Or you can set up one tray that only has like your check samples. Or you can have a tray that only is allowed to run liquids, and the other ones are not. Right?
All right, yeah, I mean, I see that. You can see the trays even, and I know it's hard to see it there, but we can see the letters, the numbers, everything there.
And you can color them if you want to.
Yep.
So you're very free in that. We already have that on the SI Tiger Series 2. You can set them into like a yellowish mode.
Yeah.
But this gives you a lot more possibilities.
All right. So now I've heard a lot about this AI camera thing.
Yes. So it
takes a picture? Or what?
It does take pictures, but that will be HI, right? Human eye.
Yeah.
But that's kind of nice. When I work in my lab, and I'm sure some of our customers do that too. I work in my lab not in my lab, at my desk, which is upstairs.
Yes.
I don't necessarily always remember what I put where.
Yeah.
Yes, I do try to take pictures, but I forget. The camera now shows me the picture.
All right.
Right? So I can click on it and I can tell it to look at the camera, but because it's open, it's not going to work.
All right, let's
so I close it.
There we go.
So it will go to that position. It will take a quick picture.
Yep. Yeah, I saw that blink, the red light.
And so then I know this is sample STG5.
Okay.
But the software will know it's a sample, it's an easy loader ring, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and even the liquid item, it says it's not a liquid. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you really have to take this apart between AI and human eye, right? The AI part is really, does the software know if there's something in there? For me, it is where are my samples? What did I put somewhere?
Right.
And also for remote troubleshooting, that's really cool because our not that I want to say we troubleshoot, but a lot of troubleshooting we do is remotely because we solve like 95% of all of our cases that way.
Yeah.
And this gives us extra help, right?
Yeah.
Because yes, we're on the phone, we say, where's the sample? What if somebody had to leave or there's shift change? Like we can just look.
Right. Now, is this capable of being set up for the automation? Like
yes,
where you can bring in the...
It actually can have 2 automation ports.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have one on the side and one on the back, and then there's a chute where it can go,
can
go down.
And then in addition to that, you could have, some samples for doing the checks and things like that.
Exactly.
Also.
Yes. It has the typical, you can schedule samples, the typical flags, if the drift correction passes, or if your the drift correction usually passes, but if your check sample passes, that's more important. All of that is typical, as we know already from our other portfolio systems.
All right, so speaking of these maintenance things and all that, maybe we should take a look at the back and get an idea of some of that maintenance.
Yeah, I think the maintenance on this has taken a gigantic step, right?
All right.
I think Bruker did a really good step, or a really good thing here in anticipating what could be made easier.
All right, let's take a look back there.
Okay.
Yeah, maintenance.
Yes, so this is really cool. We allow our customers to do a lot of the maintenance, right? But one of the things that X-ray spectrometers do, the large one, they need cooling water.
Yeah.
And this used to mean that you take the back panel off.
And you were talking before about safety and saying the interlocks and things like that.
So not only do you not have to do this anymore, our panels are even lighter now, but you don't have to do that. So we have actually an input here, and then down here, there's a gauge where you can see if you need water or not. So all of this is made so much easier. Because we also know that people might have their instruments a little further in the back, and then trying to work with this, having like 1 foot under the panel, that's not really convenient. Also, there are some smaller users, shorter users, it's not fun, right?
So now, you said that there's a water gauge, but then we also have water lines coming in.
Yes.
So does the way it works is you have like building water or some external water cools the water?
Yes, and then here's the deionized water.
Ah, okay, okay. And then that's why you need this cartridge.
Correct. And so the ion cartridge, we also allow our customers to exchange themselves. So we have a maintenance class for the SI Tiger Series 2. But that is one of the parts that's much easier now because you just can take it out by opening the outside door, take it out, put the new one in, done.
Okay.
Right? You don't even need to attend the maintenance class for that.
You know, the back in general is just really clean on this. I mean, I can see here we have some ports and very clearly labeled.
Do you see this one? It's not hooked up here, but N2 gas. So you can run it in nitrogen. Because a few years back, we had the helium shortage. If you wanted to run heavier materials or higher levels of sulfur, you don't need helium if it's liquids or powder. You might be able to get away with nitrogen.
Okay.
So we have that available now.
Now, do those things come on every one of these units?
Yes.
All right.
But you need to decide first, right?
All right. So you decide if you're going to have that.
But this is part of everything.
Okay, and then you had mentioned that we also have classes and things so people can actually come and learn how to take care of these pieces of equipment?
Exactly. There's also one thing here that's for the flow counter.
Yeah.
I know we want to talk about the detectors a little bit later, but so we have a flow counter, but we also have a sealed flow counter, a sealed proportional counter. So if you are somewhere where you don't want to care about P10 gas, or if you're somewhere where it's hard to get to it, you can buy a proportional counter, and then you don't even have to worry about this, right? So you can run this whole thing without any gases.
Hey.
Yeah.
Well, that is a huge,
Yeah. If you just run solids and you use a proportional counter, a sealed one, then no gas.
Makes it even easier, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. So I guess we'll go back to the front.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like there's quite a few changes on the outside, but I know there's also a lot of changes going on the inside.
Yes, there's lots of changes on the inside, hardware-wise, and we talked a bit about it a little bit, but also software-wise. The software is all new, at least in terms of Spectra Plus is not there anymore. Spectra Elements, which users might know from the S2 Puma and the S6 Jaguar, but I think it makes it so much easier to use the system now.
All right.
So we can talk about it when we're back in the studio, because then I can connect to my computer and show it a little bit.
All right, that sounds good. So we'll head back to the studio, and then we'll see a little bit more.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool to be able to see that thing in person, Julia.
Yeah. Now you know how big the tiger was in the picture.
I know. that was a pretty big tiger.
Yeah.
But it was also neat, and I know we didn't get this on camera, to see the new tiger and then the old one. They're very similar in size, but it's completely different in terms of its general feel and also its function.
Right. Yeah. It feels more modern.
It does.
It's I like that the hood is all clear, so you can see it from the sides. It's also lighter, because I did slam the hood on my fingers on the Series 2 a couple of times, and that hurts.
Yeah. But you can see what's going on. You can clearly see what samples are loaded. You can see what's happening, and that's a very important thing. Now, we alluded to when we were in the lab that we're going to talk a little bit more about the detectors and then also the software. So I guess let's start with those detectors. So what's unique now about this is that we can do some really cool stuff with a next level of simultaneous type measurement, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So now we have our normal goniometer, and on there you can mount some detectors. So what do we got for choices now?
So you always need a detector for light and one for heavy elements, or for lower energies and higher energies, right? So for the lower energies, we have the the flow counter, and we also have a sealed proportional counter. That one we actually feel is so important that it is also available for the Series 2, because if you are somewhere where you don't want to have P10 gas, or maybe very high up, or right where pressure is an issue, or if you're kind of remote, that might be really, really beneficial to have a sealed proportional counter.
Right. And that one's the high-sense GF?
Yes.
All right, so GF, gas-free. Yes. Okay, and that's for your lighter elements. You want to have most sensitivity, and you still have that even though you don't have that gas flow to worry about.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Now, what about the high? Okay.
Yeah, for that we have this patented high sensor boost, but I'll talk about it later.
Okay.
And then for the heavier element detectors, we do have the Hisense XE, which is already in the S6 Jaguar. And then we also have the typical scintillation counter.
Okay.
Both of them are for heavier elements, but the Hisense XE is the one that excels in linearity. It is linear up to 23 million counts per second. So
23 million?
Yes.
So is that like an unattainable number?
No, it's attainable because we got it.
Well, I mean, what I mean by that is that's 23 million. Is there samples where you can actually get into 10 million counts and stuff like that? Really?
Yeah, so in the metal industry, or if you do mining and then you really process your ore more and more, right? Transition metals, also the zirconia, all of these, they fluoresce quite a bit. So for those, we really attain those high numbers. And yes, right now you can measure this too. So the Series 2 has the dyna count where the current drops if it goes too high, but it gives you only linearity to about 15, 14 million counts per second.
That was going to be my next question was, is it really 23 million, or is it
No,
Actually, we stick in a filter or we turn down the power.
There's no filter, no nothing.
Really?
And the cool thing is it goes from 0 up to 100%, right?
Okay.
So the cool thing with that is the PHA sets itself. So the PHA, for people who are familiar, is the pulse height analysis.
Okay.
So when we set up a method, we figure out what the position of the peak is, and then you look at where the you sit at that position with your detector, and you define what part of that signal should go into the final count for that element. The Hisense XE sets this automatically, and so it sets it also so that it doesn't take in a lot of noise for low concentrations, but takes advantage of everything at high concentrations.
All right. So now, if anybody wants to see more inside of that system, how it works, you could go to our website. There's also a video on YouTube when the S8 Tiger was released, and in it there's this animated beam path, and you can see all these things going down to that goniometer.
Exactly.
So what we've got in that beam path, we've got things like a filter changer. We've got a collimator changer. We've also then got the goniometer, but on that we have different crystals, right? So how many crystals can you mount at one time?
You can mount up to 8 crystals.
And how many choices of crystals do we have?
Now you put me on the spot. More than 8. More than 8.
More than 8.
Yes.
Yeah, we have this huge number. Why do I need a bunch of crystals?
Well, so the default number, or the default choice of crystals, XS55, PET, and LIFT 200, they span almost the whole periodic table.
Okay.
If you want to go lower, if you want to measure carbon, nitrogen, boron, then you would need a special crystal and also a special collimator, because you need to get a little more intensity in. So that's one side. On the other hand, if you want to have higher intensity, we have actually a curved version of the LIFT 200, which gives you more intensity if you want to do traces, for example. And then we also have the LIFT 220. That's a very standard crystal in the XRF community, which gives you better resolution. And then there's another one, the germanium crystal, which gives you better resolution and higher intensity for the elements or the lines that fluoresce between phosphorus and chlorine.
All right, so now we've got these things, and then we've got the detector choices.
Yeah.
Now, another kind of cool thing about this platform is that if you wanted, when you buy the machine initially, you can buy it in a certain setup. Like maybe, oh, you know what, I'll just go with that scintillation counter. I'll go with the one crystal. Yeah. I just go with the one collimator. And then later on, you could actually have more things added, right?
Yes, that's right.
Or you could swap out that Cinti for the Hisense.
Yes, you could do that as well. Yeah. But I think maybe the Cinti to the Hisense, but I don't think anybody wants to go the other way.
Right, yeah. But it is possible to do this. And that's what's kind of neat, too, because then you never know. I mean, if we come out with something new, there we go.
You didn't let me talk about the third part that we have, right? So we do have a simultaneous channel where we take... maybe you saw that on the side, or if you look at the video, you would see it on the side. So there you can either put an SDT, silicon drift detector, for just an energy dispersive XRF. So it's just like having a little S2 Puma hanging on to your S8 Tiger. Or you can use the channel to put a single element channel for light elements. Because we know if you want to measure boron, nitrogen, carbon, or even sodium, something like that, it takes a while to get a really, really good signal. So you can use that while you're measuring other elements to collect intensity in that channel.
So, and to be clear now, if you go back, you look at that video, that other video, what you'll see is that actually has access directly to the sample.
Yes.
So that's seeing the sample directly. You get that multi-element channel or a single element. Now, what's neat, like you said, you can actually count on that while the goniometer is doing his bits.
Yeah. So you don't need that, right? If you don't want that, that's fine. But if you have it, there are applications where it makes a lot of sense. For example, if you want to do rare earths, or if you want to do traces in something in general, but you need to measure your majors as well, you can do that on the WDXRF channel, so you're not wasting time going to all of these positions, maybe even with a background or without. And so it is faster for you, right?
Yeah, and having that option is really cool. And again, if maybe your needs change in the future, you can swap that to the other detectors. And these are things that you wouldn't necessarily swap every day or even... No. Yeah, this would be something like, oh, I'm going to add it, and then we'd come in there. We got a great service group. Come in there, add it for you. But that's an option. You know, you invest in a platform. These are expensive platforms. You invest in that, and then you can always update it as your needs change. So the detector is really cool, but the other big key change here, this software, right?
Yes.
So kind of taking easy use to a new level. And I think you've got it here on your computer, huh?
Yeah, we talked too long. My computer was just about to sleep. But yeah, we can show my computer. So I am connected remotely to the system.
Okay.
And so what we showed earlier, that you can like find a sample and see what's there, right? So I want to show that again. I think that's really cool because if you're standing next to it, of course you know where your sample is, right? But if you are remotely connected, or if you like have your desk somewhere else, you don't necessarily always take a picture.
Oh, yeah, and if I'm like, oh, did I put that in like E3 or did I put it in E4? Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah. Now you can see, right? So, of course, we're not going for like high advanced photography. We want to have the information. So this gives us a picture of the sample, and then we know what's there.
Okay.
And we actually took off the hood of the loader so you could see the camera on the side.
So yeah, I mean, we saw this thing in action when we were over there in the lab. But like you said, this thing, that's the picture. You can actually have access to it. That's neat because that's also what it's using to kind of do some of this automatic identification.
Yep. And then the other thing is, so I think the loader might be familiar to anybody who has a system right now because we've already used that part of the software before. But the way of how you can customize it is now much easier, right? So you can see there are some parts that are green and yellow. So if you wanted to say, green is only for Julia, and John gets his own part maybe up here, it's very easy to just go into the configuration and say, okay, John, actually, you don't measure that much. You just get 4. And
I only get those.
We use your favorite color, which would be...
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know, what's your favorite color?
It's like my closet
Something
at
like
home.
pink.
This is your area.
Yes. It's my closet, too. I have, like, I don't know, 3/4, and then my husband gets the rest.
Yeah, there you go. So here you go, John. You can have 4. And we said, what, 84 was it?
Yes, 84.
Okay, you could have 4. So that's kind of fun. Now, I think you had also mentioned that if somebody puts samples in certain areas, it can, like, say, that's a priority. We need to run that one.
Yes. You can do that. You also can have certain parts that, so this was just coloring it, right? That's easy to do. But you also can have limitations on maybe one area only is allowed for fused beads, and another one is only for liquids, or something like that. So that makes it easy configurable. Do you need to do this every time? No. But it is a nice feature depending on what level of organization you want to have in your lab.
And with the camera now, if somebody makes a mistake, like you mentioned fused beads or a liquid, things like if they put the liquid in the wrong zone,
the camera will know.
The camera's going to know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool because it stops something bad from happening.
Right. So also if, I don't know if you saw that, I also don't pay attention to it anymore because it just happens. So if you put samples in and then the system is measuring, and then in between you open to put in something else, the sample handler will actually go over the spot where it just took something out to make sure that you didn't accidentally put something in an empty spot where it might then run one sample on top of the other, right? So that's the AI part, because that's not something that you would see with your human eye. It will see, oh, it's empty, fine.
So now let's talk a little bit about workflow.
Yep.
So here we talked about loading samples, things like that. But now I need to, I guess that starts with method and a calibration. Yes. So how do I create a method? How do I create a calibration?
Let me jump to the
back end?
Back end first.
Okay.
Because that's the other program that people are already familiar with, which is the results program. So the results manager, right? We have one where you can see all the results, but you also can look at results, and then they're displayed to you with either with indicators or without indicators. It doesn't really matter.
This is very, very familiar to me.
Yes.
Like with the XRDs, like D6 and stuff like that, we also have that tab.
And you can copy and paste this directly into Excel. You can also have it automatically export into a CSV file so that your LIMS system can pick it up. We already know how to do all of this thing, right? That's not anything that's new. And then you were talking about, can we look at the wizard? So I have a few samples open. I did something with copper. In general, we have this tree on the side that we just walk through. And people who are familiar with our software for the S8 Tiger Series 2, they will recognize there's no launcher anymore, right? There's no buttons where you click. But all of the buttons that you would have clicked, they are up here now, right? So there's, you saw me using those. There's the wizard, there's the tools button, there's a maintenance button now. maybe we should invite service for another Live from the Lab so they can talk a little bit more about that, because that's the other part where we have a lot of improvement. There's a results manager and so forth. So it kind of guides you through things. I think what is really cool is that they make you think about drift corrections and control samples at the beginning, not later on. There is also a very nice way on how you add preparations, right? It gives you an idea, like a visual idea what's actually happening in the preparation. So that way you don't, you're not like thinking which one is the right one. You can just click on them and figure out which one is the right one.
And you don't have to worry about like having that lab notebook where we're writing all this stuff down. It's right here. It's in the method.
Right. And then the other thing that I think where they really put a lot of effort into is the analytical lines. So the software will suggest lines to you, and it does that already for our older systems. But what it also does is it now includes the lines that you really need to look for. So it will suggest something that's not a default crystal, like the germanium crystal if you have it. And then you can select your setup method where you run things as scans, because later we just are going to run the peak and the background position, or just the peak position. So when you do that and you look at your scans, before in our old software, you always had to click back and forth for this 2 theta and the PHA scan, as I said, right? So we make these scans, and we then tell the software, okay, sit here and tell me what you see here. And then you had to click onto a different screen. And it was a little confusing to people who didn't do that very often. Why do I look at 2 peaks? And why do they look the same, right? It sometimes got lost in it. But I think now the layout is so much clearer. You have your 2 theta scan up here, and then you have down here, oh, this is what it sees. But wait, there's more.
I was going to say, like, this is the type of refinement, really cool, though, that also of UI that comes from experience.
Yes. And so, I think that was also the right time of adding this.
Yeah.
When I mentioned earlier that the Hisense XE detector does the PHA for you, we also have something for the lighter elements. It's called Sensor Boost. It's patented. So if you turn on Sensor Boost, which I have here, the software will automatically figure out how it needs to set this up. So if you go from 0 to 100% for some light elements, so let's say you have silicon and aluminum, and they, like, sometimes one is higher, sometimes the other one is higher, and you're somewhere between, say, 10 and 60%. Sensor Boost will make sure to take in the pulse pileup when it happens and not when it doesn't happen. So you don't have noise, and you get a higher, more linear signal as well.
And from what you said, it sounds like it's not just turning up a gain.
No,
it's actually not. In the background. It is,
and it is AI. It knows when to make it higher and when not.
So now, my understanding, there's also, so we got Sensor Boost, boost that signal, and then there's also something called like theoretical background.
Yes, that comes later. So right now I have a background position here. Theoretical backgrounds is also something that's patented. So the software can calculate where the background would be depending on how you describe your matrix. So you need to describe 100% of the matrix, otherwise it doesn't work. You cannot say, here, take this sample, I only want to measure phosphorus. Well, then it's not going to work.
You have to put that sample description in. That's why that info is very important.
Yes, that's part on the beginning, right? We describe 100%. But that's also something like your fundamental parameters don't work if you don't describe about 100% of the sample.
I think, and this, what's very interesting about this interface is that I think one of the hardest things to do when you're designing these types of things is make it so it's inviting for a novice. So like if I'm not familiar much with XRF, I know a little bit about it, but it would step me through it. So for me, as the novice, I feel guided. I feel like I know what to do. I'm not going to lose out because I don't know about something. For you as an expert, it seems like it's also not annoying.
No, exactly.
This isn't like the Clippy effect, right? Where you're like, oh, go away.
It looks like you want to add a background. Maybe try this one. No, it's really nice. So they made a lot of things easier. Now you might have a few buttons to click to, maybe do you want to compare the theoretical background with the other one? But that comes with experience, right? If you have set up a few calibrations, you will know, oh, I don't need a background. And if I need one, I can actually turn it on. So at this point, I often set up my calibrations and turn it on. And then I think about, do I need it later or do I not? The idea here is not to compare how good is the fixed background versus the theoretical. The idea is do I need to spend an extra 10, 15, 20 seconds on measuring a background? Or can I get the same result, or maybe almost as good, with not measuring it and turning on the theoretical background?
Yeah. So the Wizard, awesome new addition.
Yeah.
Love it. And then just the software in general.
Yeah,
like you
I
said,
love
the accessibility. It has. Now,
Yeah.
speaking of accessibility, you can also limit the tabs, right, depending on who is going to be using this software.
Correct. Yeah.
So if I don't want somebody to be looking at my methods, I just want them executing them.
Correct.
Or if I don't want somebody to have access to those maintenance programs, or only certain people who've gone through the training, because we do offer the maintenance training, they can have access to those things.
Exactly. Yes.
So that's pretty cool. So with that, I think, was there anything else that we missed so far?
I don't think we missed
Okay.
anything. I don't want to, so I noticed I was clicking around a little bit. It's not the right format to go into details too much, I think.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of things for us to talk more about this.
Yes. You know, if you've already talked to us, before somebody goes in, buys a system, we do proof of principle measurements. We also do software demos. We also take in your thoughts if you actually need the big one or not. If you want to know more and want maybe a not ad hoc live from the lab, we do have a webinar coming up on December 3rd. That will be those are either at like 9 o'clock, I think, and then that is 4 o'clock in Europe. And there's a second session as well. I don't know off the top of my head directly, but it's on the Bruker website.
Yeah, so just check out our website and look for that webinar that's coming up. So with that, though, I think we're going to start answering some questions.
Yes,
so we do have some that came in before. But if you do have a question now, just go ahead, type it in the side of the screen, or you can send it in later, if you're watching this later, to live.events@bruker.com. Also in the future, if you ever see an episode coming up that you're interested in, you want to send in one of these questions that we ask, you can send it there, and then we'll answer your question live. So with that, let me just check here if we have any questions. So from coming in before was Philippe. How long does a typical measurement take?
It depends. A typical measurement takes as long or faster than with a Series 2. It is a sequential system, right? So we need to measure one thing after the other. But with the theoretical background option, and if you wanted to have the EDXRF channel, that makes it faster. 4 kilowatt systems are faster than 1 kilowatt system. Typically, let's give you something like cement, we can do below 5 minutes. With a 1 kilowatt, you have to be more like 7, 8 minutes.
All right.
But it really depends on the application. If you want to do rare earths and you want to hit every single rare earth, it's going to take longer because it's one after the other.
Okay. So next question from Cindy. What safety features are built into the system? So we talked a little bit about safety, I know, in front of the instrument, but...
So one is, the loader with the camera.
Yes.
It makes sure that you cannot accidentally put a sample that's a liquid in a position, and then it will be measured in vacuum. There's also a sensor in the sample chamber. So because you can override it, you can set it to manual. So you can't accidentally do that either.
Don't tell me what I can't do, machine, and then you put the liquid sample in the vacuum.
Yes, but it will not let you do that.
Okay,
we already have that feature on our other systems as well. Because before, on the Series 2, there's actually the sensor in the sample handler in the magnetic one.
Yeah.
But then you can, if you really want to, you can set it to manual and do it. I mean, that's sabotage, right? That's willingly wanting to do that. But even that is not possible anymore.
So, and on even a more fundamental level, I mean, Bruker, we've been around for a very, very long time. I was going to say 50 years, but I think it was 60 years recently.
Probably,
so we've been around a very, very long time, and with that comes that trust and reliability. So we're here today. We are going to be here in the future. So we know about electrical safety. We know about mechanical safety. We know about X-ray safety. And we make sure that all of these systems are completely safe from that regard.
Yeah, they all have to pass the inspection, right? There should be no radiation coming out. But you can also open and close the hood and change samples while it's running because it's only the X-ray chamber where it is. You could see there was the little light bar that tells you if the X-rays are on or off. And then, as I mentioned before, we have all of the interlocks that are now actually where the X-rays are. So even if you need to get to something, you can do that as well without having any danger to you.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're starting out with setting up a new analytical lab, things like that, we've got you covered in terms of that. We also have a lot of experience, so you can always, like you said too, with the application measurements, same thing with installing the systems and your room setup and what you need for safety. We can give you a little bit of advice.
Yeah.
All right. So from Phoebe, is it easy to train new users on the Series 3? I think I know the answer. I think it's a yes.
I think so. It's also, again, this like different level. Do you want to train somebody because you want them to just run a sample? That you can do within 15 minutes, right? It's like put the sample there, push the button, walk away.
Yeah.
If you want to train them on maybe doing a little bit more like results analysis, those are very intuitive. It's almost like working with an Excel sheet, and we all have worked with Excel. And then if you want to set up a calibration, it might take a little longer because you don't do that much, but I think one walkthrough will already set you up. And so we help a lot with that. We do write tutorials. We also have software classes. So for the SA Tiger Series 2 right now, because it's that's the one out there, we have up to 4 software classes and even up to 3 maintenance classes. So we don't only teach you or train you on software, we also train you on the maintenance.
So yeah, I mean, in terms of that training, like you said, we have classes at the at our lab locations. So, and again, that's global in terms of our footprint. We cover maintenance, we cover applications. We also can do some on-site type stuff. So if you're, you want somebody to come out, they can come out and help you out with this thing. A question, this is for the moment, so the answer might be no. Do you guys do like online training too? So if somebody wants to schedule, a few hours or something of your time to help them walk through a problem?
We do remote training as well. And also for larger customers, we also have made custom remote trainings that then can be permitted to other users so that they have that value available to them.
All right. Yeah, and we also do have kind of that, if you got a question, you got a Bruker machine, you can always reach out to us and we'll answer those questions.
It's kind of funny. We do support for a really long time. I still support sometimes old SRS 3000s.
Really?
Yeah, every now and then I get a question.
Wow.
And it's funny, I had a polymer press in the lab that's obsolete now, and I reached out to the supplier and I said, no, it's obsolete, we don't support it. I was very surprised. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But I bought it and I have it. How can you not support it?
Right, especially like an industrial type instrument. But yeah, so we have that. And then also, like, if you do have a problem with your machine, then you can always contact our service group and they'll walk you through that stuff. So next question. From Pam, what are the main differences between the S8 Tiger Series 3 and the previous generation? I'm guessing there's a lot to unpack there, but maybe what's the highlight?
So we talked about the software. We talked about the maintenance, right? Those are 2 things that are very different. I think our developers and everybody else who was involved took a really good look at a system that was already very good, right? I mean, the Series 2 is one of the, if not the most successful WDXRF system on the market. And they still found things that they could improve a little bit. As I said, the software, the maintenance, let me think about it. Of course, analytically, you get the same or better. So I think it's more modern, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to have an iPhone 4. You want an iPhone 17. This is, if you want to have a lab that is ready for the future, this will be a next step.
And one other thing I think is that extensibility. So we do have some more options here. And again, if you buy one, your needs change. You can adapt it, and we have even more choices in the new platform.
Right.
So, great system, like you said, it's really comes with a foundation of experience of the older platform, and then it's kind of been elevated with the innovation. Okay, from Chi, what advantages do the new detectors offer in terms of sensitivity and precision? So
we talked about the sensitivity, right? The thing is, when you are in the metal industry or in the measuring anything that fluoresces a lot, that's where you have the advantage, because you don't have to, if you want to do 0 to 100%, you don't have to maybe measure twice or have 2 different applications. You can do everything in one. That's also something where the software comes in and makes it easier to just break a calibration line in half if you really wanted to. what did we say? Precision or
sensitivity.
Yeah, sensitivity.
Yeah.
Both of this, and then the sensor boost, as I said, increases the sensitivity because it gives you this like very low numbers to high numbers. We don't have that available for anything else.
So the traditional detectors, I'll say, like so the flow counter, the scintillation counter, they're going to get the job done.
Yes. Absolutely.
Are the high sense detectors like always going to give better data? Or do you think that those other detectors are kind of like good enough for what people are doing sometimes?
I mean, they are, because we sell them now, right?
Yeah, we do. We do.
Again, do you want to have something that is available for everything?
Yeah.
Right? And also the high sense detector is the future of detectors. Scintillation counters have been around for a really, really long time, right? There is definitely an argument to make to why don't we come up, or why don't we use something that has been developed and that works as well and that is much easier to use and gives you benefits.
Yeah, and sometimes there's even times like people are like, look, I used to have a Cinti, I just want it.
Yeah.
I just want the same thing.
Yeah, and I mean, think about XRD. You have like, or even single crystal, you have several different detector options, right?
Yeah.
And so there are some that are like, maybe get the job done, and then they're the ones who give you excellent data.
Right. Yeah, and the nice thing, again, if your needs change in the future, you can always upgrade to that high sense. Last question that had come in earlier. Again, if anybody has a question, throw it into the chat. We'll answer it now. But Laura, how easy is it to integrate the S8 Tiger Series 3 into existing lab workflows?
It is very easy, right? If you have a Series 2, it just goes into the same spot.
Okay.
If you have automation, the Series 3 actually has 2 automation ports. Did I say Series 2? The Series 3 has 2 automation ports. The Series 1, as far as I know, only has 1 in the back. So you can have, let's say, automated fuse beads, automated press pellets that go in. I think that's pretty cool. But also, like I already mentioned, limbs. That is a given. So it's as easy as it could be.
Is the hole in the same spot?
No, there's one on the side and one in the back.
Well, I mean, like, though, so if we took a Series 2 and a Series 3, like, and I already have it set up with the conveyor belt, is it, like, roughly about?
Now you're getting into granularity of
I
questions.
don't know,
off the top of my head. But you might have to nudge it a little bit.
Maybe you got to nudge it, but roughly it should just kind of, like, drop in. And
yeah, you saw the footprint is very similar to the other one. It just looks, in my opinion, a little more stylish.
Yeah, and if you have, like, an automation system, you just let us know that you have that already set up, and then when we get the new one all prepped, we can help you out getting that all going.
And because we already have the S6 Jaguar and the S2 Puma using the same software, we already know, right, if somebody is worried, we already know this software also works well with automation. There's no issue.
Yeah. All right. So thanks, everybody there, for joining us today. And thank you, Julia.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Very, very enlightening. So.
And I really want to say next time I'll come, I'll bring somebody from service, and I want them to go into the nitty-gritty of, like, what the maintenance are, what are the parts, because I think I always cover it from the side of like software and application, but this is also something where we have made a major step forward.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching this episode and you have a certain topic that you'd like us to cover in a future episode like that, let us know. Hey, I'm really interested in looking at geological samples, rocks, I guess we should say, or I'm really interested in cement, I'm really interested in metals. Put that in the comments, and then we'll take that into account when we set up the next one. But until next time, let's make sure to keep your signal high and your background